Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, going to be running through some more 2020 Democratic primary polling results. This one from Emerson polling taken in the state of Massachusetts between the dates of April 4th through the 7th of 2019. Amongst Democratic primary voters, the respondents total 371 with a plus or minus on the margin of error at 5 percentage points. So a relatively small sample size here, but you're typically going to expect that in these state-specific 2020 Democratic primary polls. So starting off, the top two candidates continue to be Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. Bernie coming in first place at 26% of the support here, with Joe Biden at 23 percentage points. Now, I'm really interested to see how the polling looks for Biden in upcoming weeks, given the fact that he's gotten a lot of negative press recently. All the women that have come out and said that they have felt uncomfortable with how he's handled their interactions with him, being fairly handsy and affectionate to people maybe that he doesn't have close relationships with, and what kind of effect that's going to have on his numbers, specifically the upcoming morning consult poll that'll be out on Tuesday. Biden has generally been doing pretty well in those, ahead by around 10 or so percentage points in comparison to Bernie Sanders. We'll see how that's affecting his numbers, or if it does at all. But then behind Joe Biden in third place, not a great sign here for Elizabeth Warren. This is the state where she is a senator from, and if Warren is going to have any chance at going on and winning this 2020 Democratic primary, you would assume that she'd have to win Massachusetts in by a decent margin, or at the very least, do better than what she's currently polling, just at 14 percentage points. And then another surprise here, maybe for some, Pete Buttigieg continuing to do better in these polls and really capturing a lot of the momentum from some of these other candidates that many at the start of this process were figuring would get these kind of boosts. So Pete Buttigieg in fourth place at 11 percentage points. And the other candidates that I mentioned here, that kind of young up-and-comers right now in the Democratic Party that many thought would take this kind of thunder and be able to increase their numbers, would be people like Beto O'Rourke, Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, and Kirsten Gillibrand. In those candidates in particular, O'Rourke and Harris still very much in contention here. Amongst that top group, Beto O'Rourke in fifth place at 8 percentage points, Kamala Harris in sixth place with 7% of the vote. But then Cory Booker and Kirsten Gillibrand continuing to not do as great in terms of their numbers in comparison to some of those other candidates that I was just talking about, with Cory Booker at 2 percentage points and Kirsten Gillibrand at 0 percentage points, registering in this Emerson poll. Some other candidates here, Amy Klobuchar, again, around, it typically seems like we see here between about 1 to 3 percentage points in most of these polls. She's at 2 percentage points in this one. Andrew Yang at 1 percentage point. Julian Castro at 1 percentage point. Tulsi Gabbard at 1 percentage point. John Delaney, again, 1 percentage point. And then other candidates registering 5. So now I'm going to go through and break this down by age demographics. And again, we continue to see this. There is a massive separation in the age demographics in the Democratic Party and who they support. So starting off, the youngest bracket here, those between the age of 18 to 29, support Sanders 52 percentage points. So the vast majority for Sanders coming with those younger voters. 15% for Beto O'Rourke, and then 10 percentage points for each of Biden and Warren. And then voters between the age of 30 to 49, again, they're leaning towards Sanders at 27 percentage points, Warren at 22 percentage points. And then we look at the older age demographic, so 30% of voters between the age of 50 to 64 favor Biden, with Warren and Sanders following that at 14 and 13 percentage points, respectively. And then Biden does the best amongst the oldest age demographic, those that are older than the age of 65, where he's getting 33% of the vote. And Mayor Pete follows that with 16% and Sanders at 14%. So Pete Buttigieg, at least in this particular poll, is doing very well amongst older voters. Kind of an interesting thing. Some of these other polls I've seen, Pete Buttigieg has been doing better with younger voters, but that wasn't as much the case, at least in the state of Massachusetts. A lot of his support that he's getting enough to where he's in fourth place with 11 percentage points coming from that older age demographic. And perhaps all the negative press that's surrounding somebody like a Joe Biden, perhaps another candidate such as a Pete Buttigieg might be able to capitalize on that, maybe take some of that support if people aren't as sure right now in terms of supporting the former vice president as they were before those allegations came out. So now looking at those 2020 head-to-head matchups here, and we see it's not a big surprise to see in the state of Massachusetts the Democratic candidates doing very well in their hypothetical head-to-head matchup against current President Donald Trump. So Biden leading Trump 69 percentage points to 31. Sanders also crushing him 64 to 36, as well as Elizabeth Warren 63 percentage points to 37 percentage points. And that's all the data that I wanted to touch on in this particular Emerson poll. Again, if you want to look at all of the statistics from it yourself, I'll have it linked down in the video description. And that's going to wrap this one up. So if you're interested in more poll analysis in the future, click that subscribe button. I hope to see you guys back here for my next video.